after he's become.
Lane, Oladipo. Oh, that's right. You better mean mug after you dunk on somebody that way.
Gonna run it down. He goes with it. Adebayo for the win.
Yep. Welcome to the 5 Reasons Sports Postgame Show, aka the Post Up on 5R. I'm your host, Roy A. Shepard, and when I started the introduction, it was only me back here. And my man Jonathan Rumlicon saved everybody by jumping in here in the last minute so that this wouldn't be a 15-minute show of me using expletives to describe this horrendous game that we just had to sit here and watch. But since Jonathan Rumlicon is here, we might actually get to talk a little basketball. Maybe, if that's what you want to call what we just had to sit there and endure. So we want to thank the primary sponsor of the 5 Reasons Sports Postgame Show, and that is A Aggressive Insurance. Visit insurancebyLynette.com or give her a call at 954-581-8800. She handles all of your insurance needs, and she has agents standing by most of the time, damn near 24/7. So give them a call at, again, 954-581-8800. And yeah, check them out, see what she has to offer. And make sure you tell her that 5 Reasons sent you so that she'll know where you came from. Also, please visit cptflorida.com. If you have a small business and you have any IT needs, that includes sales services, video conferencing, security services, any of that stuff can be handled by cptflorida.com. Make sure you visit them. Also, tell them that 5 Reasons sent you so that they can make sure that they know that we sent you. Kachi and Chisholm. My dude got into a car accident the other day, so we wish him well.
You're okay, man.
Yeah, I'm glad he's fine. Thank you for the $199 dono. He said 19 and 15. Eat a dick, Kachi and Chisholm. He said hashtag Barai Pack, hashtag pray for my car. Yes, we are praying for your car. Let's get to this game, Jonathan Rumlicon, because it was second night of a back-to-back. I know what everybody's going to say. You know? But we got nothing. I mean, that's what I saw. I saw nothing. Did you see anything else? Give me your thoughts on the game. How did you feel they played tonight? Blah, blah, blah.
I mean, if you want me to give you like some X's and O's from what I saw, I mean, it just wasn't great from the start. I mean, we came out in a deficit. Wasn't shooting great from the start. I think it was like a 10-point lead going into the second quarter for the Bucks. I think we went 4 for 4 to start off the second quarter. So we had a little bit of hope. We cut it to 6. And then after we cut it to 6, freaking Pat Connaughton had a personal 8-0 run to make it from 6 to 14. And then there really wasn't looking back from there. We were playing kind of a bit of a zone-esque kind of, defense where we were trapping every time they were setting a screen. And once Milwaukee was able to get the ball past that trap, it was a 2-on-1 situation for Milwaukee and one defender. One defender was typically Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, or Omer Yurtseven. So they didn't really fare too well, playing 1-on-2 there. But they made all the right reads, and on top of that, they crashed the boards. They got a bunch of second chance points. They were hitting the shots all at the right time. Whenever we seemed to just get 1 or 2 to go in a row, they were making 1 or 2 right back. So it was just a really tough game to watch. I mean, second half really was just more academic than anything. There wasn't really much to it. Didn't really cut into the lead. So yeah, not the most fun game to watch. I'm glad that it's behind us. It's unfortunate that we weren't able to secure a win without them having Giannis, but we don't have Bam and Jimmy anyway, so it was a tough night coming in.
Yeah, so this game to me it was like the polar opposite of the game yesterday, where we had guys who had been struggling, and Duncan and Kyle just came out more aggressive. We're shooting the ball, and we're shooting it well. So, we saw how this team could potentially survive games without Bam and Jimmy. And then tonight they came and they did what they've been doing the whole goddamn season, which is nothing. Duncan shot 4 of 10, had 11 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. Kyle was 4 of 12, 10 points, 7 assists. And just a nothing burger from them both. And yes, I have on the Tyler Hero jersey as proof. I do. And we can talk about his ass too. 4 of 17. I said it last night. I'm going to say it again. I did not care how Tyler Hero shot. I did not care how many times, what kind of shots he shot tonight. I want him to go out here and explore his game without Bam and Jimmy. But goddamn, this was the deep end of that exploration tonight, brother. Objectively, he was bad tonight. All of them were bad. So we'll dive into each one of them. Talk about Kyle Lowry. and talk about his terrible tonight.
I mean, he just came out. I mean, he had a couple of assists to start the game. So, I mean, first 3 or 4 minutes, I was like, okay, we're going to have the same Kyle Lowry that we saw from last night. I was very quickly corrected that we're not going to see the same Kyle Lowry from last night. I don't know how many games like that we're going to get from him, right? At the age that he's at, with the mileage that he has on his body, it's really hard to ask for a guy at his age to do that every single night. And, when we have a collective group of Tyler, Bam, Jimmy, and Hero, like all of them, or Jimmy and Kyle, I said Hero twice. If you have the collective group, he's able to supplement that and then make the team elevate even more. But when you ask for him to do it by himself, it's just a really tough situation for him to be in, especially in a back-to-back, right? Maybe if he's one of these younger guys, he could fling those shots up, keep it going. But he's on a back-to-back, he needed it to do it, right? For us to win this game, he needed to be the guy that led the boat. But unfortunately, it wasn't there from him. And, he wasn't making a lot of shots. He had a really tough shooting night, even on some open corner threes, some open ones above the break as well. Not the best game from Kyle Lowry, but we'll look to recover on Monday and move on from there. Hopefully we see the last night's version a little bit more.
Yeah, look, I've called Kyle Lowry a situational scorer, and that's what we need for him to be. This is again one of those situations. It was the same as last night. He did it once. I could not reasonably expect for him to do it in back-to-back games. For him to come out and lead the charge offensively with his scoring. So, I mean, what he did tonight is what I've been bitching and moaning about the whole season, which is being extremely passive. Like, there were still opportunities that he left points out there on the court tonight. There are opportunities where he's in the teeth of the defense and just stops dead in his tracks, turns around, looks for somebody else. And that, to me, is like, that's the lack of aggression. I do think that he will turn that around when it comes time, but it's just on a game-to-game basis, bro. It's getting irritating. So let's switch our focus to Tyler Hero. Somebody said Hero got blocked like 49 times. I put the comment up early. Somebody said that Drew was giving Hero problems. Drew Holiday gives everybody fits. It's something that I predicted last night. Oh man, Kane.
Hello.
How are you, brother chairman?
Yeah, I don't know why I can't hear you for some reason.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, wait.
He can't hear us? The brother chairman is live from the streets with the people. You can't hear me still?
Well, let us know your thoughts on the game. We want you to
talk.
Thoughts on the
about
game?
The game.
I'm trying. Oh, how was the game? Oh, okay. I think it was bad all around, but I'm not terribly surprised at it. Even though Giannis was out, you're still talking about a formidable Bucks team that still had Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is known for defense. I mean, Miami right now, they're relying on Kyle Lowry and God, who even else was out there? Tyler Hero. That's about it. I don't think that when you combine those two, I know some people are viewing Tyler Hero as the second coming of white Jesus Christ, but he wasn't going to do that tonight. It just wasn't looking like that. I'm sorry.
Beautiful. You still can't hear us, can you? You can't hear us still?
I really can't hear a word you guys are saying for some reason.
Leave and come back.
I will do that.
Okay. But yeah, but Tyler Hero is kind of like the subject. Like, yeah, we were talking about it a little bit in the chat. You saw we got into it in the Heat chat. But it's a lot of things. Like, the reason that I want Tyler to explore his game is because we don't know where it could go, and we do understand that there are some limitations that he has with it. And I think tonight was one of the times where you saw some of those limitations enhanced. But to his credit, it was because he's going against probably the best perimeter defender in the NBA in Drew Holiday, and he was the focal point of their attention. So I can understand Tyler struggling in this game. But, I mean, from the growth, I expected a little more. Like, is that too much to ask for him right now in his third, considering the leap that people have been talking about? Or is it fair for me to have wanted maybe just a little more from Tyler, even in a blowout loss? John?
Well, it's definitely fair for you to want a little bit more, but looking at the way they started this game, they actually started the game with Chris Middleton on Tyler Hero, and they started off with Drew Holiday on Kyle Lowry. So they started off with length on him anyways, which we know gives him a little bit of trouble because he has a hard time getting past him. But to his credit, there was 1 or 2 times that he was able to get past Chris Middleton and score on him, although he only made a few shots. A few of them were impressive getting past Chris Middleton. It's tough against this Milwaukee team that has so much length, that has so many good defenders, and not only Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, but they have guys like Pat Connaughton that are just really annoying on the perimeter, that'll body you up, chase you around. So they have a couple of guys that could bother him as well. Like you said, almost 3 or 4 of his shots, bless you, got blocked. So it was a really tough ask for him tonight. You want more from him regardless, right? People are talking, there's whispering, what is that extension going to be, right? And with that question comes the question, what is his ceiling? Because we don't want to give him a max player extension if he's not a max player ceiling, but he's also only 21 and he's doing the things that he's doing on a team like this. So to ask for him to do all of it as the number 1 option at 21 years old is tough right now. It's going to have to be a long sample size for us to see what we're going to really get from him, which I've liked so far this season.
Sure. I must continue to say this because people jump down my throat about my Tyler Hero takes. I did not care what Tyler Hero did tonight. I don't. I'm just talking about what happened. But I did not care personally. It did not make me angry that Tyler Hero missed so many shots. It did not make me angry that he struggled against this because I understood what the task is of him right now. Trying to carry this team offensively without Jimmy and Bam out there. The best 2 players on this team. Ricky, is it fair for me to have expected just a little bit more from Tyler Hero, though, tonight?
I think we all expect players like him to hit more shots. I think that's just a given. I mean, Miami's not going to win every game, but, hit a couple more shots. Thing is, though, and I think you understand this, Royal, as well as you too, Ram Lacan, these games happen. It's only if these games happen more often than not when we should probably start to worry. I am a bit more confident in Hero's prospects. Do I think he's a max player? Not just yet. I don't know if he'll ever reach that level. If I could just go to in terms of like contract, I'm reminded of the extension that Josh Richardson got for a couple of years. I think Tyler Hero might probably get a little bit more, but I don't think he'll necessarily get the max. But as far as him being a shooter and missing more shots than he should have tonight, yeah, it happens. I mean, you're talking about a team in terms of defense that Drew Holiday does a really good job on defenders. I mean, that man basically took Chris Paul out of the NBA Finals, and Chris Paul is considered to be the point guard. So if someone like Tyler Hero or anybody that he was guarding tonight happens to have trouble, it's to be expected. I don't expect that to continue because I think Tyler Hero, to his credit, has a lot more dog in him than a lot of people think. And I think at the very least, he's up to the challenge. I think that's the first step for a player that seeks to be great someday. And I mean, it is what it is. I mean, these nights happen. I think anybody that's been watching us on these post-game shows, especially if they catch me after losses, I'm usually not too broken up about it, mainly because it's a long season. These games happen, and he'll bounce back at some point.
To your point about Tyler Hero having that dog in him, like these type of games, like he don't give a fuck. Like he doesn't care that this is the type of game he had tonight. He's gonna come out next game and he's gonna shoot the same goddamn shots. And that's kind of like what you want to see him do in terms of mentality wise. Let's bring up my man. Consistency is key. The unidentified celebrity review again with the $4.99. Don't know. Leading us to our next topic. Duncan is a bum. My guy, again, Duncan was a bum tonight. 4 of 10 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3, 11 points. Not really feeling.
I'll be back.
Okay, so the Duncan thing kind of got out the road last night. Like we saw Duncan come around, have his best game of the season, and we asked last night, could he string a few of these together? He did not. Is that Duncan going back, or is it because are we giving credit to Milwaukee's defense for that, Ramakan?
Well, see, I would give credit to Milwaukee's defense for this one, but this is what Duncan's been doing all season. And there was a couple of times, especially in the first quarter, he had 2 straight open looks in the corner that he just didn't hit. It's like, man, you got to hit at least one of those, right? And, just like when we talked about Bam having that soft game, I can't remember who it was against where he actually hurt his hand. But then back past the point, right? He started making some shots when it was too late. In the third quarter, he hit that little, dribble drive, pull up 2-pointer, which was kind of nice. I was like, okay, I see you starting to get it in. And then he hit a couple of threes with guys in his face, but it was too little, too late at that point. Like I said, I would credit Milwaukee's defense for this one, but this is what we've seen from Duncan all year. So until he proves it to me he hasn't proven it to me yet. So I guess we just got to wait and see.
Yeah, I think tonight was a perfect example of something that Gaz been talking about, or it may have been Ariel. But when Duncan isn't hitting shots, it bleeds into the rest of his game, and it's kind of like, so tonight the shots weren't falling, so the defense wasn't as good, the dribble penetration wasn't there. It's just kind of like that. Somebody said it right here. Duncan is inconsistent. Yeah. Like, that's what he's lacking this year. He's lacking consistency in his game, and that is hurting this roster. Look, I don't blame Duncan at all for this loss. I believe this is a scheduled loss, back-to-back against a really tough defensive team. It's just a terrible matchup without Bam and Jimmy, so I expected a loss. But I cannot get over it. Like, my thing is, it's not about the fact that you lose, and I've been saying this since last season. It's how you lose games. Like, if we're going to preach this culture shit to people, then I need to see culture and guts every fucking game from everybody. If your shot not falling, I need to see you out there diving on the floor, or at least trying to be solid on defense or something. And that's not what's happening with this team at all. Like, it's top to bottom. I don't want to just blame Duncan, but I don't see that gut shit that people be talking about in these L's. And go ahead.
No, I was gonna say you're right, man. There was really few instances where we were getting the second chance points. We were hustling to the ball faster, right? Milwaukee was beating us every single time on the boards, getting that second chance, getting that tip, hustling to the ball every single time. If, like you said, if we're going to preach culture and we want this to be throughout the 15-man roster, not just be PJ Tucker and, Kyle Lowry and a little bit of Jimmy Butler. No, it needs to be every single person on the court who's hustling to the ball. Or, I'll give Gabe Vincent a little bit of credit, because I seen he's been hustling no matter what. From the full court presses, he's always pushing. But it needs to be every single player for every single minute. And I feel like, like we talked about with Duncan, the culture in this team is very inconsistent, whereas we don't see this team hustle every single game. They'll turn it on and they'll turn it off. Like we saw them turn it on last night, and sure, it's on a back-to-back, but they sure as hell didn't turn it on tonight.
Adam Barai, he's gonna buy Kool-Aid because Tyler Hero thinks he's black in the first place. Yeah, Guts.
He's gonna buy grape drink.
Yeah, grape soda. Guts. I'm not a Guts guy, bro. I'm not a Guts. I'm not a none of that shit. Oh,
wow.
I like the name, I like the name, Kay. But yeah, right now the conversation is pretty much we were talking about Duncan Robinson, and it kind of switched itself to where we're talking about how all this culture shit that's being preached. Like, in some of these losses, I'm not seeing that. Like, the guts and all that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't see that on a night-to-night basis. And so if we're not going to see it on a night-to-night basis, then maybe we should stop believing in that as a fan base, because I believe if we played with the type of bravado that we give off, these games will be a lot closer, even if they're not wins. Do you agree or disagree, Kane?
I think it's a little bit of both, because I distinctly remember that 2016-2017 Heat team that went 30-11 to finish the season, and they were the definition of a hardworking team. Even in their losses, they played hard. They just weren't good enough. I think what happens now is it's kind of like an intersection of that hardworking underdog type of mentality that embodies culture, the Heat culture, the way it, I guess, traditionally does, combined with championship aspirations. I think those are two perspectives that people have when you're looking at a team, because when you're a team with championship aspirations, you're supposed to be just flat out better than the other team. You're not just, it's not just about, we outworked the team, because, for example, if you think back to those Heat Bulls matchups, the Chicago Bulls, and Alana might kill me for this or not, we'll see. They weren't completely outclassed by the Miami Heat in terms of talent. But the reason why those games were so competitive was because they worked so hard. It's that old adage that says talent or hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And now we're in a bit of like a crossroads where you want this team to be heat culture, gritty, grind, but you also want them to win a championship. Unfortunately, in this day and age, based on what's expected of you, I think at this point, it's just a matter of, okay, just go out and win, and we'll attach that identity that makes us feel validated as fans to those wins, and we'll see what happens. Where a guy like Gabe Vincent, who's supposed to be a third stringer, a guy who was in the G League just a couple years ago, has a good game against the Bulls, and then it's like, yeah, that's heat culture. The reality is that's finding a good role player and maximizing his potential. Every team has that player. It's not uniquely Heat culture. It just so happens that he's wearing a Heat jersey, so Heat fans are like, it just so happens that Heat fans are like, oh yeah, that's Heat culture. That's why he's doing that. As though, Alex Caruso isn't doing what he's doing for Chicago before that hamstring injury.
So thank you somebody for the $2 donut. He says Struce's lose 6 threes, only bright spot. Kang, I appreciate the money, somebody. Kang, I wanted to counter that because yes,
Please.
that is true. That is true if it's one person. But I think player development is a part of the culture, and we're doing that with multiple players. So it's not only Gabe that we're talking about in that light. It's Strus. It's Caleb Martin as a reclamation project. It's Omer 7 for bits and pieces of whatever time. But mainly Caleb, Gabe, and Max Strus. Those 3 guys I want to focus on. Those guys are an embodiment of us taking nobodies and kind of turning them into role players, which is what you're talking about. Most teams can only do that with 1. We're doing it with 3 at one time.
That's only right now. Like we could talk about DJJ, we could talk about Hassan,
we could talk about Tyler Johnson.
Exactly. Like multiple players, Rodney Magruder, right? Okaro White. Like these guys came in with us and left, or at least were relevant with us. And then once they left, we saw that they were kind of fizzled out for some other teams. So it just showed yeah, I'm not talking about, on the court, but as far as off the court in our player development, we're second to almost nobody. Maybe Toronto and San Antonio are close there, but they haven't been developing the amount of guys from undrafted level and bringing them to the island of relevancy like us.
Well, yeah, very, very few. I mean, if we're being completely honest, I mean, there's a reason why San Antonio and Miami are the only ones that are considered world-class organizations. I mean, I'll even use my hometown Knicks as an example. They're in the biggest market in the country, but they haven't been able to develop anything develop a team worth
because they are poverty
caring
franchise.
about. They haven't been able to
Look at RJ
develop
Barrett.
anything worth talking about for decades, and that starts at the top. But thankfully, when you're talking about a team like San Antonio and Miami, they were really able to essentially establish a, dare I say it, culture that pinpoints or picks out certain types of players that fit a certain role. They bring everything together with regards to the coaching and all that stuff, and they're able to make things work. And I don't think we should, I hope I haven't made it seem like I'm downplaying that. I mean, that's important. I think that's great. We should celebrate that. Yes, the Raptors too, especially with Masai Ujiri. It's wild that I was hearing Michael Christian talking about them the way he was in, I think, last week's episode of Feel the Heat, but that I digress. Look,
he's a blasphemous human being anyway.
Who, Michael Christian?
Yeah, vile person.
Yeah, we'll talk. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, no, look, I think at this point it's, there are limitations to the style of play that you are able to use to plug in certain types of players. And in losses, sometimes we see a lot of those shortcomings. I think it is what it is when it comes to that sort of thing. Ultimately, I think what you're hoping for is, for example, if the big 3 of this current Heat team were more talented and more aware of their potential. If Jimmy Butler were, say, prime LeBron, if Bam Adebayo were, say, prime Chris Webber, if Kyle Lowry were, oh God, what would be a better version of him? I don't know. Kyle Lowry from a few years back, then you'd be like, oh, snap. Okay, this team is dangerous. Then that culture comes into play. Then you're talking about a better version of that Pistons team. But right now, because that ceiling is a little lower for a variety of reasons that we've been talking about till the end of time on both the post game and the pregame, we are where we are. But so I think at this point, it's just a matter of just until that day comes when you're able to get better talent and really plug it in to the point where you're really able to do something. Great. But until then, do what you can with what you got and
just roll with it.
Yeah, I think that kind of like speaks to the way that Pat Riley likes to build teams. I don't think he really like. I think the big three notwithstanding, like most of the time, he likes to build teams that's like kind of like one shot, like in that kind of way he can keep the underdog mentality. You like, you know what I mean? That 15 strong shit, like that was smoke up everybody's ass, but it worked. Thank you, John Mullen, for the 4.99. Don't know. He said, I don't know. Like this loss doesn't matter. I think only thing we learned, Duncan and Lowry are what the stats say they are. So Duncan and Kyle Lowry. Look, they are as valuable. They are not only valuable. They are valuable to the team most when the team is whole. Like that. That is when Kyle Lowry and Duncan Robinson's value, in terms of what they're paid, is going to be maximized in terms of what you see. Because like without Jimmy and Bam, there are a lot of people who are not worth what they are going to be paid. You know what I mean? It's the reason why they are our two best players. Thank you, Corbs, for the 4.99. Don't know. He said it's so frustrating to watch the Heat play the Bucks. I have no idea why they give this team wide open 3-pointers. It's the same type of loss every time. Let's talk about that a little bit. I forgot who mentioned it, but I saw it on Twitter. But the back line of the Heat zone was giving up like everything. Like they were giving, like you had wide open corner threes, you had drives to the rim, you had everything. So talk about the Heat's defense tonight, Ramakan, bro, like, or the lack thereof. What has been the problem with it, and what was like the main part of it tonight?
Well, I mean, I talked about it a little bit earlier when it came to this game. If we were blitzing every time, they were setting a screen for the ball handler, we were going to blitz the ball handler. And what Milwaukee was doing after that, they were able to get the ball past the blitz. And once they were doing that, they were essentially playing 3-on-2 or 2-on-1. And the back line of our defense, once they get past, our point of attack, which right now, without Jimmy and Bam, is our best part of our defense because we have guys like Kyle Lowry, Gabe Vincent or Caleb Martin at the top of that. On the back line, you're going to have a kind of a slow-footed Dwayne Dedman, PJ Tucker, who can kind of pick up for a little bit, but a lot of times he was blitzing, or Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson. And if those guys are playing 2-on-1 on defense, I mean, you don't even trust them to play 1-on-1 on defense. So you're not going to get much of a result there. So they were just moving the ball really well. Credit to Milwaukee with this one because we weren't really playing as much man. We were playing a lot of different types of zones, doing a lot of different type of schematic stuff. But Milwaukee moved the ball really well tonight, and they were able just to find the open man. And I think we should have played a little more man-to-man. I didn't like the overuse of the zone. I think when you overuse the zone, it becomes exposed, and then it becomes really easy to beat, especially once the team gets reps of doing it in the first and second quarter. Third and fourth, just doing it again is going to be a lot easier. I would like to see a little more man. I want to see guys fight through screens a little bit more instead of switching every single thing. But, yeah, man, the open shots – without Jimmy and Bam, like I said, that's the schematic way they're going to play defense, and they're just going to have to try to maximize closing out on shooters and try to make hustle to the ball.
Sean Rochester, while factually what you're saying is true, statistics can be manipulated to tell whatever story it is that you are hoping to tell, which is what you're doing right now. By all means, Kane.
Yeah, well, so here's the thing. First things first, I give Sean a lot of credit. I respect the dedication to the Duncan Robinson partisanship. I get it. Believe me, I'm a KZ guy, and there has to always be someone that's in a corner of a particular player. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I ain't clowning that whatsoever.
You said you're a KZ guy?
I mean, I'm loaded up on KZ Cone. We've been talking about this for a while.
You got a little too much dip on your chip there, Kane.
That's life. That's life.
You gotta let that thing go, baby.
No, never. Look, hey, yacht party at my house, baby. I'm just saying. It's only a matter of time. Only a matter of time. Tell coin to the moon. Anyways, but here's the thing. Regarding what Sean Rochester was saying with regards to the stats are what they are, right? But what the stats don't also show is whether or not those made field goals are impactful, or whether or not they came at a moment in which they were especially needed. For example, the Laker game that Miami ended up losing, Duncan Robinson misses a layup and I think misses 2 free throws in overtime. On the stat sheet, maybe he's 8 for 10 from the line that night, or maybe he's 8 for 10 from the field that night. But that one missed field goal and those 2 missed free throws could have very well decided the game. The stats don't decide that. I mean, that's just one. Secondly, I think Miami right now is kind of like at another crossroads because right now they don't necessarily have a 3-and-D guy along the wings. Kyle Lowry supposedly was supposed to be that. He's past his prime. I'm
best next to Jimmy and Bam.
Sure. All right.
Even defensively,
yeah.
bro.
But the thing is, in terms of 3-and-D right now, I can't really think. And if somebody is more than welcome to volunteer a name or two, but I can't really think of a consistent 3-and-D guy that has embodied Heat culture, because Heat culture is Heat culture. PJ, yeah, but that's one guy, right? That's one. Other than him, and is he considered a wing?
Hold on. Before we could dive deep into that conversation, thank you, John Mullen, for the $4.99. Don't know. He said concern depth. We aren't even 1/3 of the way through the season. Injuries piling up. That's the thing Heat fans should be most worried about.
John, if you listen to me on this network, dating back to when this team was first assembled in the summer, I was on with Dono. I was on with anybody that was willing to listen, and I always got crickets when I talked about it. The two main issues for this team, a team with a starting lineup averaging around, I think, 29.4 years old. It's going to be age and injuries. Everybody was too hype off the Kyle Lowry news to pay attention or to acknowledge it. But here we are now. Yes, you are absolutely right. It's going to be a recurring problem for this season. And here's the thing with injuries. You might say that you'd rather injuries now than later, but when you're dealing with an older team, those injuries take longer to heal, and they tend to be more nagging and prone to aggravation later on in the season as stamina starts to go down, as wear and tear starts to pile up. So it's not a matter of picking and choosing when you want your injuries to happen when you're dealing with and this is a very, I guess a respectful way of saying it, a veteran roster. So, that's just where it is.
Wanted to say. So yeah, we got 31 minutes to talk out of this shit. We did good.
All right.
We did good. Last thoughts on the game, Kane?
Look, it's an 82-game season. I wasn't expecting a win at all this weekend. I wasn't expecting one against Indiana. Shockingly, that happened. Happy Hanukkah. I wasn't expecting one against Milwaukee, and I'm not expecting one coming up. So it's going to be a tough stretch right now, given the injuries in the start of December. But I think if Miami's able to get back to a respectable form of health, develop some consistency, they'll be able to finish the year on a strong note. So right now, I'm not too down in the dumps about it. I mean, if you look at the records right now, everybody's near 500. Everybody, even including the contenders, the Hawks, Sixers, all those guys, they're all within a game of each other. Right now, stay afloat, get healthy, get back to where you need to. Pray to God that Duncan either gets traded or becomes the sharpshooter that he was signed to be. Hope that Tyler Hero does his thing and gets back. Hope that Bam Adebayo heals that thumb, fixes whatever problems he's dealing with physically, and comes back super aggressive and not tentative. Hopefully Jimmy's tires don't pop again. And, like I've always said, and I've been consistent about this since this team was formed, if this team is healthy and does what it's supposed to do as far as everyone accomplishing their role the way they were supposed to, I like my chances against anybody in the league. Anybody. So that's where we're at.
Questions everything. He said Giannis' brother is pretty annoying. Yes. The man who puts the ass in Thanasis. That boy is a bitch. I don't like him. Damn, you said a lot, Ricky. My mind went numb for a second. I'm not gonna lie. Ramlakai, I'm sleepy, G. Like, this is my back-to-back, bro. I'm looking forward to these days off. Ramlakai, give me your final thoughts on this game.
Pretty much everything Ricky said, right? Not much more to say there. But yeah, I mean, it was a tough game to win going in the first place. Not sure how it was going to come out, but I'm glad we went 1-on-1 on this back-to-back trip, right? I think that was a success in its own, right? Winning in Indiana in its own is its own thing, but doing that on a back-to-back set, I think it's good we went 1-on-1 on this set. It's important for us to continue to secure wins without Bam. Hopefully, we get Jimmy back moving forward, and I do want to thank somebody for the $2 dono saying we need another big, any ideas? It's tough right now because they don't know if the tax situation and the Caleb Martin situation with the two-way, how we're going to train. There's just a lot going on with that. So not sure if there's any ideas you want to throw out, Royal. But as far as this game goes, man.
We're not going to go into the tax for a big who's not going to play when Bam gets back. So, no.
There you go. But yeah, nothing much as far as this game. Like you said, we take it, move on to the next. If we get Jimmy back to the next one, and we'll have a pretty decent run against a couple of the crappy teams we got coming up.
Yep. Speaking of, we played the Memphis Grizzlies on Monday at home. Hopefully, we can get some good news about Jimmy Butler. So, assuming we do get Jimmy Butler back, Kang, the boy feeling good?
Right now, no, but I will be later this month.
Okay. Later this month. Later this month is tomorrow.
What?
Later this month is tomorrow.
Oh, wow. It's later this month from when he just said that. It's later this
man. So you feeling good now?
After December 18th. How about that?
That's a long time to be in misery.
Yeah.
You enjoy being in misery. I'll enjoy every single day as it comes.
I'm not. When am I ever miserable about these teams? I'm not. No, back when I was 15, yeah, but not anymore. Nah.
Life is a beach. Life is a beach. It's sandy all around you. Jonathan Ramakan, the boy feeling good?
The boy feeling good. You know, man, we got to get it done. We got to get it done. If Jimmy comes back, I don't really have much of a worry. I think we'll dog him, you know, since they especially they have no Ja. But yeah, man, boy feeling good.
Yeah. The Heat about to blow that shit out. That's just no Ja. That's the engine. You don't go anywhere without your points. That ain't got nothing to do with us. They ain't scoring on us, and they wasn't in Miami when they did it. So we go home. We get some of that home cooking. This starts off a stretch of three. This starts off a stretch of 3 straight home games. Oh, don't worry, we got Milwaukee ass right around the corner too. Oh, they up next after Memphis. So you know, get a little get back when we get our boy Jimmy back. See what we can do. But yeah, we're gonna blow this shit out. Somebody asked, is it Victor back this month? Victor ain't back until Victor is back, in my opinion. Like until I see that boy in a game, he out. And
he's not a savior.
He's not, but he is some help. So thank you guys in the comments as always for making the show much more fun than it would have been without you. Thank you to my guy Jonathan Ramakan and to the King himself. That is not your name, Ricky J. Mark, for jumping in here to help us out with the short crew. Light tonight on everybody. Fuck it, y'all get y'all some rest, man.
For real. Yeah.
Gang. Play the video, Jonathan.
Jimmy Buckets! Clutch time!
Tyler Hero, what a finisher he's becoming.
Lane, Oladipo. Oh! That's right. You better mean mug after you dunk on somebody that way.